All right, listeners, this is Adventures in DeFi Kingdoms. This is Raph summoning to you high above the keep in the hot air balloon. With me tonight, I have Neindorf, but no Walton yet. Say hi, Neindorf.
How's it going?
I think we've survived the Harmony apocalypse that's happened over the last couple days. The game's frozen up on us. How are you hanging in there?
Yeah, the pending transactions in my MetaMask on my phone finally cleared out. I think that took about 8 hours. Those were some long quests and a bunch of wasted stamina, but I'll survive.
Neindorf, tell me, what Christmas movies are you watching lately?
For me, every year it has to be Die Hard, the best Christmas movie ever.
Nice. Love it. Love it. I just watched some Christmas Vacation. We went out to a tree farm, cut down a tree, put it up in the living room. A little full, a lot of sap.
Yes, that one's perfect. Hopefully you don't have a cousin Eddie, I hope.
No, thankfully we don't. Yeah, it's definitely in my top five.
Yeah. What? No. You got to be down to at least 30 by now. There's no room in your top five.
That's true. I have a few too many movies in the top five. That's for sure. All right, so a little bit of news. We've been watching the community calendar, and if you go to DeFi Kingdoms Discord, for those of you who don't have access to that yet, definitely check it out. Very useful place. And community calendar is out and has some new information. We are looking at a couple new patch days coming up. December 15th. That's coming up 1 week from today. We're recording on December 8th, the night of quests going live, and we're doing a special bonus podcast this week. And December 15th, we're looking at the Master Gardener being ready to quest. Any gardeners you got lined up and ready to go?
Oh, there's a few I've been waiting on. They've been foraging while they're waiting, but I think they'll really start to shine once that gardening quest comes out.
Yeah, next best thing. It looks like there's going to be a similar stamina style mechanics for on profession, off profession, but the timing elements will be different. Maybe we'll dive into that in a different episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's definitely worth a look once we get either both of these released or at least one of them so we can really see how it works in action.
Right. And then early Christmas present, December 22nd, the Master Miner is coming out. So get ready to start unlocking that locked jewel.
Oh, that's going to be great. That's the kind of the thing that I feel like a lot of people who've been in early or been in the gardens for quite a while, or you're seeing that build up and you're really looking forward to trying to see how quickly we can access some of that jewel.
All right, so for our first segment of the night, we're going to talk through some leveling, as that is about ready to drop. We're talking 9 p.m. on December 8th, and we're looking forward to leveling, and we wanted to get some ideas out there to the DeFi community of what we're looking at and kind of the strategy that we're going to try out. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is runes and give everyone kind of some brief statistics on this and what I'm looking at as the pros and the cons here. And so if you go to the DeFi Kingdoms white papers page, it actually has a section that talks about leveling and the number of runes that will be required for leveling. And every odd level, it increases one count in the total number of runes you need per level. Long story short, if you're going to level up to level 10, you need 29 runes in order to get there. And let me tell you what, Neindorf, that's a pretty expensive investment. If you take 29 runes, multiply that by about 7 jewels per rune, current market rate, and $7 per jewel, that leaves you just under $1,500 to get each hero up to level 10. What do you think about that?
Wow, that's a lot. And honestly, I think that 7 jewel per rune is going to go up as well. I don't know. I haven't pulled very many. I think I pulled a couple more since we last talked, but I'm still nowhere near enough considering how many heroes that I'm trying to, or at least considering leveling up. And I mean, that's something else that we'll have to talk about too.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind as well is the drop rate on runes, according to Sandwich Punch's last article, which I think it was a Discord comment from Hubert, but the drop rate on runes does not increase as you increase your level in that profession or your level as a hero. And that's a bit different than other drops. And so I agree with you. I think that number is going to skyrocket here. So anyone looking to make some opportunities, maybe pick up a few of those tonight before it drops.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a good call. And if you got a couple extra jewels sitting around, maybe purchasing one or two extra runes in case they do skyrocket, I think that's something I'm considering here in the very near future.
Right, right. So as we go kind of through the pros and cons of leveling, the things that stick out to me on the pro side, you get +1 stamina per each level. That doesn't make a big difference right now, but if you have a hero that that's their profession that they're pairing with after 5 levels, which is a fairly affordable investment, you can go on one additional quest. That could certainly increase your drop rates of anything per day. And so while the drop percentages aren't increasing per level, you can get more bang for your buck, so to speak, when you do send your heroes up to level.
Yeah, I think
Correct.
that's a good point. I think one thing that kind of drives me bonkers a little bit is, you got that match profession. If it's a full recharge of stamina right now, you've got 5 full quests, to burn off all 25. Well, those other ones where you burn 7 out of your 25, you end up leaving the change lay there in stamina. It's really hard to get all your heroes down to 0 stamina and, make sure you're not wasting any of that time. So level ups might be able to help us, sort of level those out a little bit and so that they actually play nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're not sitting around like a Steve all day, that
Yeah.
that extra stamina can go to waste. So some of the cons that I've been thinking about from leveling up, at least in the first few levels, you're really only getting marginally better rewards. One of the rewards based on your profession quests come from your actual stats. And your stats aren't going to increase dramatically in the early levels. And with runes as expensive as they are, I don't really think you're going to ultimately see a return on investment for, the 7 jewels to get to level 1.
Yeah, that makes sense because if you think about it, if I'm looking through the tavern and I see a hero who's level 2 or maybe even 3, am I going to pay any extra for it? I don't really know that I would. Now, if he's up to 5 or definitely once you start getting to 10, when you've had those extra stat rolls, that's when I think you're going to really see some ROI on that leveling.
For sure, it'll really, I think, start to segment the hero market in the tavern for sure. So ultimately, it come down to my biggest takeaway for our listeners as I've been going through this is don't get left behind. Although there's some cons and it's probably too expensive to level up all of your heroes, get started early, get started now, get going because you can't stockpile XP. And as we discussed in the last episode, and as has been discussed in Discord and in the AMAs, land is a quest-based earning. And so if you want to get land, this game is you have to play to earn. And so something for our listeners to keep in mind is, if you don't start leveling up now, other heroes from other avatars or other people out there in the world, they're going to get those higher levels and they're going to be more likely to complete those quests that you need to unlock that land. And so I think I'm going to stick with a strategy of somewhere between leveling up, I don't know, 3 to 5 heroes at a time and see how that goes over, maybe the next 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, I think that's a great plan. I mean, that way you kind of playing both ends of the spectrum a little bit, right?
Right. So, Neindorf, you've been looking into some of the level up mechanics and specifically how the stats, how you can impact the stats as they change on your hero as you level up. Can you dive into that for our listeners, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously there's the stat rolls based on your rarity, and I think we've touched on that. If not, we can hit that in a future episode. The one that I'm really interested in today, at least, is on every level up, you get to select one of your stats that you want to get a +1, a guaranteed +1, which is really cool. And there's 2 additional stats you get to pick that have to be exclusive. You can't double dip here. that have a 50% chance of gaining. So that's really, you get to select 3 stats that you can directly help raise over time, as opposed to just the random number generator that happens for all the rest of them based on your main and subclass. So, that kind of brings up a few strategies that come to mind for me. Obviously, if this particular hero you're leveling up is going to be a miner and he's got the mining profession, it seems to me it's pretty self-explanatory. You'd auto level up one of the 2 mining skills, and then I would probably pick the other one as your 50% chance, and maybe swap them back and forth level to level, try to keep those both moving forward at somewhat of an even clip. But then, like, what do you do with that last 50% chance? There's a lot of options out there, and this game is so new, I don't think we really know what to do yet. But one thing that I'm considering is I might just pick one of those 50% chancers as luck and just let that build up. There's some things that I've heard on Discord, and Hubert said that luck has an impact everywhere. I mean, obviously, a lot of games say that, right?
Right.
But I think the point here, though, is I think that there's going to be additional chances that we don't see them talk about. Maybe it's egg drops, right?
Maybe, yeah. I like that, trying to take things into your own hands instead of praying to RNGesus to make the drops happen.
Yeah, and then there's also the other strategy too. I know this is going to take an RPG style approach, right? So going back to the miner example, right? Obviously, strength and endurance to get you those profession quest upgrades and better drops. But if you think about it, that miner with the strength and endurance is kind of like your average tanky hero in an RPG game. Well, that tells me that character is going to need hit points, your HP. And I feel like then maybe vitality would be another choice. So you can level that up. It doesn't have a direct impact on the current quests, but I feel like it's going to lead really nicely into adventure questing. And there's a similar analogy like this for all of the different main classes, but you kind of just got to, read a little bit more on the class docs. I think they help kind of lead you maybe where you ought to go.
I like that. So let's transition now. For those of you who listened to the first episode, Neindorf and I and Walton have gone in on a pair of Gen Zero heroes together. And it was Neindorf's turn here today for summoning. So tell us what you're looking at.
Yeah, that's right. So both of them got off of their 3-day cooldowns this afternoon. Contemplating what to do with them. One of my favorite quotes from another favorite movie, Jurassic Park, where he's like, I think it was an Ian Malcolm, I believe his name is, if I'm remembering right.
That's right. Yep. Jeff Goldblum.
Goldblum, there it is. Yep, I love that guy. He's like, God creates dinosaurs. God destroys dinosaurs. God creates man. Man destroys God. And in this case, more appropriately, man summons NFT heroes in DeFi Kingdoms. I just
love it.
And, it's like now knowing, too, that there's 2 of them, because this is a relatively recent event for us, I'm starting to, put together my strategy here. And we bought the second Gen Zero really thinking we just pair the 2 forever. But, looking at the tavern today, the floor price for 10 out of 10 Gen 1s was up almost around 150 jewel a piece, which is really high in my opinion. So I decided, why not? I'll take 2 rolls of the dice. And so I rented, a monk for the pirate and a pirate for the monk, the vice versa pairs, so that we can try for 2 ninjas possibly if luck were on my side.
How'd you fare?
So not too bad. The first guy, of course, was I'm going to call him an uncommon garbage Steve the Pirate, but he'll still sell for 150 if the floor price holds. So
he's taking naps out on his foraging quest then.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's supposed to be a pirate, but he thinks he's a gardener. He doesn't really know what to do with his life. And then the second one, though, I was a little more luck. I had a little more luck on my side on that one, and I did get a common ninja. So that's good news, and that'll help, moving forward with some of our additional plans, far as, those advanced and maybe even future elite classes.
Yeah, that takes me to, something that I've been working on putting together. As you mentioned in episode 1, I've been trying to take the data that you're pulling, we make a good pair. You pull the data off the API, and then I try to throw it into whether it's Excel or Power BI, and draw some conclusions from it. And I've been trying to make a value calculator where I'm actually looking at the percentage chance with two heroes creating the next level of class. And so if you have two basics looking to make an advance, two advances looking to make an elite, two elites looking to make, of course, the ultimate. And what I got to is that it looks like there's a lot of value in getting a 5 out of 5 advanced class if you can summon with a Gen 1, a Gen 0, if you're lucky like us, or even a Gen 2 hero. Remember that if you get an advanced class, the maximum number of summons you can have is 5 out of 5. And so this is a strategy for those of you who end up finding a good deal in the tavern for even a common hero that has, 9 out of 9 left or 8 out of 8 left. You have a couple tries at trying to build this advanced class. And this strategy is a few layers deep, but I'll warn you, and also say that this is not investment advice. But
do your own research. There we go.
Right. But what I found is that the floor price for the sages and dragoons is really good if you have 3 out of 3 summons, or even 2 out of 2 or 1 out of 1 summons. The floor price on a 0 summon sage or dragoon, granted, is not great right now.
Wow,
but if you could potentially, if it falls off a cliff, if you could get, like a 3 out of 3 sage or dragoon is going for, let's just say, probably 700 jewels, and that's a common. That's where I feel like I'm pretty excited for you that your common ninja, if you pair that common ninja with a common summoner, you might be able to pick up a common summoner with 5 out of 5 summons for 150 jewels. And as I've plugged this into my value calculator, when you calculate the cost of buying the pair and then the summoning costs or the hero fees, you can actually end up ahead if you summon a few times. And so this is something that, the value calculator, like I said, I've been working on to try to find ways where, by playing the game, you can earn more money over, a certain number of summons. So this is something I'm really excited about, and would even be willing to share some maybe Excel templates on how to use a value calculator if that's something our listeners are interested in seeing.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Keep us up to date. I mean, that's something that I've, tried to think about, but sometimes I have a hard time coming up with those formulas. And I think that template would be great.
Awesome. Yeah. I'll do that. So, plug for the podcast. Give us some feedback. We're both on Discord, and you can send us a note at any time, and we look forward to hearing from you. So, Neindorf, tell us a little more about your alert system. This is you've made some strides in the last couple of days.
Yeah, so I kind of have I'll call it a local version working now, where I'm able to run it from, at least a local PC. In the future, I'll move towards trying to get it hosted and providing remote access for people. But basically what I'm able to do now is I'm able to get either emails or texts, and it's for alerts from the tavern. And it's so far it supports things like, class, profession, and price, we'll say. I want to keep adding more widgets that you could select. Like say I only want to buy, I'm going to make something up, a rare summoner with 3 of 3 or more summons left. So you'll be able to, in the future, put all those together and kind of chain your filters together, sort of like the filters that you put into the tavern itself, actually.
Nice.
And then you'll get, like I said, that email or text out once it triggers an alert from the tavern.
I like that. Now, I guess I have to ask you, how sticky are your filters?
Oh, geez.
the right level, I hope.
Super sticky, depending on which tab. And I don't know about you, but I have too many DeFi Kingdom tabs open. So,
of course, yeah. Well, actually, that brings me to a bit of a random question. Something that I've been talking about with a few others. Do you play mobile or do you play desktop primarily?
Oh, honestly, I think I'm about 50-50. If I'm anywhere on the road at work or whatnot, I'll flop the phone out and try to log in. But if I'm at home, I'd much rather open up the laptop or my desktop here and get a few extra pixels in front of myself.
Yeah, I would say I'm the same way, about 50-50, especially when I'm at home working on a project. I like being able to, toggle back and forth between a value calculator and looking at the floor prices of heroes in the tavern.
Yeah, for sure. And I think something we'll have to keep an eye on too is as the more advanced versions of the game come out, not just these sort of click quests, maybe mobile is going to be more difficult moving forward. So that's something that we'll have to keep an eye on too.
Yeah, definitely. So one last thing that we wanted to talk about with our listeners is that we're looking at putting a little bit of a milestone out there for us, and hopefully you can help us get there. We're looking to try to get to 100 subscribers through all the platforms that we have, and once we do that, we could have a little more of a web version of Neindorf's alert system built. And we're not yet committing to a number, but we're going to have a drawing out of those 100 subscribers and a non-zero number of people. We're going to give access to our alert system, and we're going to allow you to pick, probably one alert per person. This is still something that we're building, and like you said last time, we got day jobs. And so this is something we're building on the off hours, but as a little bit of a thank you for our listeners out there, we wanted to share some of the developments that Neindorf was working on.
Yeah, that's right. And I mean, we want you guys to succeed in the game too. The more people we get into it, the better it'll be overall, and the more we can earn in this play to earn world.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's it for us today. So good luck with leveling, everyone. And again, this is Raph and Neindorf, high above the keep in the hot air balloon. So give us a shout the next time you're on Discord. And hopefully you enjoy the podcast. Take care.